Dillian the Body Snatcher White here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Now, we're going to get into Kubrat Pulev's statement about Dillian Whyte in just a second. Now, before we get into it, there's a few things. First of all, I know what it is that Kubrat Pulev is saying and how he's either lying or he's been misinformed, okay? So we're going to get into all that in a second, and the reasons being, how do I know about all this? Well, you haven't got to be Sherlock Holmes to figure it out, have you? Dillian Whyte has been on this channel several times over the last couple of years, and we have spoken about potential opponents, we've talked about his next opponents, his past fights, we've spoken about all kinds of things, and Kubrat Pulev was, of course, one of these particular subjects, all right? If you haven't seen these interviews, just go to my playlist, you can see my interviews and my podcast, go there, and you can see up and down with Dillian Whyte, quite a few interviews with him. Now, Kubrat Pulev has taken a bit of a dig at Dillian Whyte. Now, I don't mind if people have digs at Dillian Whyte, okay? Yes, my bias, of course, listen, my bias is my bias, all right? But fact is, if you're going to have a dig at Dillian Whyte, if you think that you could beat him, cool, no worries, all right? That's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to believe that you can beat Dillian Whyte. You're supposed to do this. But what you're not supposed to do is talk about it and not fight him, all right? Now, this is what Kubrat Pulev had to say about Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is the biggest coward in the heavyweight division. He's a disgrace to boxing. He had 3 chances to fight for world titles and rejected them all. One of them was against me for an IBF mandatory spot, which Hughie Fury eventually took. And why does he want a match now with Anthony Joshua when he had the golden opportunity to fight him last May in Joshua's last voluntary defense and turned it down, even they share the same promoter? So that is Kubrat Pulev's statement. Now, as I said before, I don't mind if he wants to say, I can beat Dillian Whyte, blah, blah, I'll totally disagree with that. But if he wants to do that, that's cool. That's what he's supposed to do. But what I can't stand is lies. I can't stand it. Now, as far as Dillian Whyte having 3 opportunities for a world title, well, him fighting you for the mandatory is not an opportunity to fight for the title because you're not champion. Now, with Anthony Joshua, yes, Anthony Joshua did offer Dillian Whyte the opportunity to fight for the unified world heavyweight titles. Of course, that was going to be for Wembley. But, of course, Dillian Whyte, again, for those of you who may remember or may have forgotten, Dillian Whyte wasn't first option, okay? Not that it really matters, but he wasn't first option. He was trying to get Deontay Wilder, it's Anthony Joshua, he was trying to get him, eventually offered him 40%, offered Tyson Fury 40%, got them turned down. He then turned to Dillian Whyte. Now, prior to all this, what happened? Dillian Whyte was on the channel and we were talking about a potential fight with him and Anthony Joshua. And Dillian Whyte said, well, that isn't going to happen because Anthony Joshua will be fighting big baby Jarrell Miller. Now, this was a couple of months before it was public knowledge that offers had been going in to big baby Jarrell Miller. So how did Dillian Whyte know this? Must be one hell of a coincidence, right? The reason he knew this is because he bloody well knew it. And it turned out to be true. And the offer that went in to Dillian Whyte, and this is not to have a go at Anthony Joshua or Eddie Hearn or anything, but it was far less than what they offered big baby Jarrell Miller. Far less. Far less money than what they offered Luis Ortiz. Far less money than what they offered Andy Ruiz Jr., which of course was eventually taken. So Dillian Whyte, he's always wanted to go for the WBC title. Again, he said this plenty of times to me, I want that WBC world title shot against Deontay Wilder or whoever the champion is, get that belt, then I want to have my rematch with Anthony Joshua for undisputed. It's a long way around, it's a risky move, but he's got full confidence in himself, okay? So we have to give him a lot of credit for that. Now, when it comes to Pulev saying how Dillian Whyte was his mandatory, that was another opportunity. So there's 2 opportunities, so where's the third one? Who's the third one? There isn't a third one, right? There isn't another one. People talk about Luis Ortiz. Dillian Whyte's put in countless offers to Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz is a time waster. Again, fact. Now with Kubrat Pulev, yes, the IBF did order Dillian Whyte against Kubrat Pulev. It went to a purse bid. Team Pulev won the purse bid. Now, a couple of snags on this one. First of all, the IBF deemed that Kubrat Pulev should get 75% of the purse. Kubrat Pulev, who was not mandatory, but was about to fight for a mandatory against Dillian Whyte, but Kubrat Pulev will get 75% of the purse. So that's the first complete garbage one. Second is, Kubrat Pulev couldn't come up with the money. They won the purse bid, but when it come time to put the money in escrow, they couldn't do it. Again, Dillian Whyte said this on the channel. The receipts are right there as well. Eddie Hearn has also said similar to this as well. And guess what? Fast forward all this time up to now, Dillian Whyte's story has not changed. Kubrat Pulev, the team who put in the bid, I forgot their name, was it Enter something Entertainment, whatever it was, couldn't come up with the funds to put the fight on in Bulgaria. Is it because they never really fancied the fight? Who knows? Next in line was, of course, Hughie Fury, after Big Baby Jaramillo had already turned down the fight, and Dominic Brazil against Kubrat Pulev. Hughie Fury, he took the fight. Well, they're quite happy to suddenly find the funds for that one, albeit it was far less money, but still, they had the funds for that one. Hughie Fury went over to Bulgaria. Why? Not too much danger of Hughie Fury knocking out Kubrat Pulev. If that fight goes to the cards, only going to be one winner. No matter how the fight went, there's only going to be one winner, Kubrat Pulev. He is a celebrity, a superstar in Bulgaria. So it's the lies that I don't like. It's the lies. As I said before, if you believe you can beat Dillian Whyte, that's cool. But why is he suddenly saying all this now? Because Dillian Whyte's already got an opponent lined up in Alexander Povetkin. Because Pulev, he's already fighting Anthony Joshua. So this fight isn't going to happen. So he's quite happy to talk about Dillian Whyte, knowing full well that this fight is not going to happen. It's hiding behind the curtains and a wall is what he's doing. Shouting over from behind the crowd. Because there's no danger of him and Dillian Whyte getting it on. Whereas all this energy when Dillian Whyte didn't have an opponent. Whereas all this energy when Kubrat Pulev, he had time to have some voluntary fights. But he didn't want to do it. Instead, Kubrat Pulev, he wanted to go fight Bogdan Dinu, who the fight before that got blasted out by Big Baby Jaramillo. In his last fight, he fought some random guy that I'd never bloody well heard of. Was it somebody Winters or something? I don't know. I don't remember. And of course, I ended up kissing that damn reporter as well. So, Kubrat Pulev, when he wants to call people cowards, but why is it that Kubrat Pulev, ever since he's lost to Vladimir Klitschko, his opposition has been, should we call it subpar? Very, very subpar. He's never risked his position. He's one of these fighters who's quite happy to be, shall we say, on the sidelines, waiting. That's what he does, because he doesn't risk it. Kubrat Pulev isn't about that life. Again, he wants to talk about Dillian Whyte turning down Anthony Joshua, which of course I've given you the reasons for. Kubrat Pulev turned down that fight on quite a few occasions. One, quite notably, when Anthony Joshua, he took on Eric Molina. It wasn't supposed to be Eric Molina. Eddie Hearn, and it's on videotape, again, go see it, go correct me, Eddie Hearn went up to Kubrat Pulev and said, why don't you and Anthony Joshua fight now? Rather than wait for the IBF to order it, let's get this fight over and done with. Kubrat Pulev was like, no, and was laughing and walked off because he wanted to go fight for the European heavyweight title instead. When eventually the IBF did order Kubrat Pulev to take on Anthony Joshua, what was it that Kubrat Pulev was doing? Oh, well, I don't really know if I should be taking this fight because I've only got 12 weeks notice. I need 16 weeks for a fight of this kind of magnitude. My team, who of course at the time was Sauerland Promotions, I don't really know if my team are talking to me. They're not giving me information. I didn't know that I was supposed to be next. Yet the whole damn world knew about it. I was making videos on it. So if I knew about it, how did Pulev not know about it? Weird, right? What happens? He gets forced to have the fight. He doesn't look too comfortable at the press conferences. A couple of weeks before the fight, what happened? He pulls out. Carlos Takam steps in. I forget the reasons for Kubrat Pulev. I remember if it was his bicep or his shoulder or something like that. Now, I'm not saying that he wasn't injured, but part of me thinking, yeah, maybe he wasn't injured because he never seemed too keen on the Anthony Joshua fight. When Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz Jr., Pulev was the first one out there on social media. He was the first one jumping up and down, wasn't he? I think that Andy Ruiz Jr., he shouldn't rematch Anthony Joshua. He should come fight me as I'm his mandatory. He never had that energy with Anthony Joshua as champion. He never said that, did he? Not at all. Was he the one sticking up his hand saying, hey, don't fight Andy Ruiz Jr. the first time round, I'll fight you? No, he didn't say a damn word, did he? But with Andy Ruiz Jr., why? Because he's shorter fighter, he can keep him behind the jab. It was a much more easier fight to win. I'm not saying that he would have beat Andy Ruiz Jr., but it was far less risky than Anthony Joshua because Pulev never fancied Anthony Joshua. Why? Because Anthony Joshua beat up and knocked out and bounced up and down off the canvas Vladimir Klitschko, the guy who took the heart and the soul of Kubrat Pulev. So when it comes to Kubrat Pulev talking about Dillian Whyte being a coward, two-faced is what I call two-faced. And everything that I've said is fact. Again, don't believe me? Go check out my interviews. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.